Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my French kitchen. I'm so excited to be here. I love this kitchen. It is like the easiest kitchen to cook in. It's the easiest kitchen to shoot in. I feel like I'm in a play kitchen whenever I'm here. And I hope that you come to love it as much as I do. Now, for those of you who've been asking, not to worry, George made it. He was such a champ. He loves being in this house because he has a lot more liberty. He can come and go as he pleases. Because of his accident he had a few years ago in the LA house, we had to pick him up and take him outside and then pick him up and bring him in. But here, he just comes and goes as he pleases. He loves the weeping willow, and sometimes I catch him out there just lounging away. We bought him a new little dog bed, which he loves, and he's just pleased as punch. So thank you for asking about him. He's doing great. But today I'm excited to get back to the cooking content and share a really great recipe with you. So this is for a panna cotta with fruits rouges. So a lot of times in France, you will see desserts that will say like panna cotta aux fruits rouges, which basically just means red fruits or red fruits of the season. So today I have an assortment that I'm going to be using: raspberries, strawberries, and rhubarb, little chunks of rhubarb. Rhubarb is something that I grew up with on the East Coast. We saw it all the time in pies and cakes and muffins and things. When I moved to LA, I could never get rhubarb because it's too hot. Here in France, they are available, and so I thought I would use them. They kind of look like a big thing of celery, but when you cut them and cook them, they have this really wonderful, slightly sweet, slightly tart flavor profile, which works really well with our strawberries and our raspberries. Now, if you can't get rhubarb, you could just use 360 grams of any type of fruit or 2 cups and 3/4 of any of these kinds of fruits. That would work too. So this is going to be the topping that we're going to put on top of our panna cotta once it's chilled, and it is super easy to do. So we are first going to put all of this fruit into a little saucepan. Now, I love this dessert because you can make it for a crowd and it takes hardly any effort. It's all made ahead, and all you have to do is serve it and spoon the sauce on the top. My eldest daughter was here a few days ago with seven of her childhood friends that are traveling through Europe, and we were one of the stops. So I was very honored that we were one of the stops. But I had to feed all of these girls for 5 days, and I was trying to figure out a dessert to make, and this came to mind, and it was the perfect thing, and they loved it. So I thought I would share it with you guys. All right, then we're also gonna add a 1/4 cup of just plain white granulated sugar. And then I also like to add 2 tablespoons of water, just to get that juiciness going, and it'll help kind of create that syrupy texture. Then I also like to add 1½ teaspoons of freshly grated lemon zest, and that will just give it a nice little zing. Then we are just gonna stir this up just to make sure all the sugar and the zest and the water is combined. And then you want to put a cover on it because the rhubarb really needs the steam to soften. Okay, so this is what it'll start to look like. See how it's getting all foamy and the fragrance is delicious? You want to just let that keep going to soften that rhubarb, but we're almost there. Then you want to pour it into a heat-safe bowl, and then once it's completely cool, then you can cover it and pop in the fridge, and it'll be all ready to go. Okay, let's talk about the vessel that you're going to serve your panna cotta in. So this recipe can serve 8 people if you figure about a 1/2 cup of panna cotta batter per person. So this would be about a 1/2 cup portion. I got these at our local thrift store. So a couple of years ago, I took you to the Brocante, our local Brocante here. And that place is amazing if you want antiques and vintage finds. But there is also a more, let's say, popular price spot that acts more like a thrift store. And that is a real treasure hunt. And in fact, I'm gonna see if I can get to go in there and shoot a segment there, because I'm starting to get friendly with the owner, and I found these there, and I think you guys would find it really fascinating. I got these for €4 for the lot of 5, which I thought was quite a little bargain. So they're so cute, aren't they? So I'm gonna be using these, so we're gonna set this aside. For the panna cotta, we're gonna be using 1 liter or 4 cups of heavy cream. And here in France, I have discovered that that is called crème liquide. There are so many products for cream, half and half. It's taken me years to figure this out, but this works extremely well for panna cotta. And I've made this recipe in the States, and I know that it works with the American heavy cream as well, or heavy whipping cream. Either one will work. So in the pot it goes. I also really love that a lot of these milk, cream, dairy products in France are shelf stable. So if you don't get to it right away, it's gonna be fine. I don't really think too hard about how that's all possible. I think it has something to do in the pasteurization process or something, but it makes it super handy. Then to this, we're also gonna add a cup of white granulated sugar. Then you also wanna use 2 vanilla beans. Now, here in France, I have been very impressed by the quality of the vanilla beans. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes in the States when I buy vanilla beans at the grocery store, they're like these sad little shriveled up beans that are in these big glass containers. You get them home, they're so dried out, you can barely get any paste out of them. But these are really beautiful, and this is what they come like. They come individually wrapped in these glass, almost like little test tubes. And they're so great. So we're gonna use 2 of these and then just scrape out the paste. Then I'm just gonna scrape the second one. The thing with panna cotta is just heavy cream and sugar, so you do need the vanilla to give it a good amount of flavor. We are just gonna stir this up on medium-high until the sugar is dissolved and you start to see little bubbles in the cream and little specks of vanilla. Here is the secret ingredient for a foolproof panna cotta, the gelatin sheets. Now, I find these at the French supermarket. If you were in the States, you can get these on Amazon. I will leave you a link in the description. It is totally worth getting because it makes all the difference. It gives you the best setup, the best texture, and they're so easy to use. In fact, even the marketing slogan on the top of this package says, "Le roi de la panna cotta, c'est moi," which translates to, "The king of panna cotta is me." So they even know you gotta have this for a really great panna cotta. Now, before using the gelatin sheets, you wanna soak them in cold water just to soften. This was a little trick we learned at the Italian cooking school last year. And if you missed that episode, I'll link to it below. But this is what the chef told us to do, and he was right, because what it does is it softens these sheets. And you will know that it's done once the sheets start to look almost like plastic wrap. This is what you're looking for. You see the vanilla specks have formed on top, the sugar is dissolved, and the cream has been simmering. All right, we are ready for our gelatin. So let's see if it's ready for us. Yeah, see, this is what you want. You see how this almost looks like plastic wrap? It's softened, but it has not disintegrated. This is why you want to put this in cold water. If you put it in something warm, it would actually disintegrate, which is exactly what we want to happen in here. All right. And it goes. So 1, as you add it, just stir it up and it'll totally dissolve and disintegrate. Now the thing with panna cotta is you really want to have the smoothest, most delicate texture. And to get that, you really want to strain it. You don't have to strain the whole thing at one time into a measuring cup because it'll be harder to pour. So I use just a 2-cup measuring pitcher and a fine mesh sieve. I'm going to put that on top and then slowly pour this mixture in there. And you'll see it'll catch any of the gelatin that didn't dissolve, little bits of vanilla bean that are too big to pass through. See, we don't want that in our panna cotta. And then if I'm feeling very extra, I also take my mini sieve and give it one more pass. But you don't really have to do this part, only if you want to. There, see? And I would fill it maybe almost to the top, but not totally to the top, because it'll be really hard to transfer it to your refrigerator if it's too full. And in fact, that's why I put it on a little sheet pan here, because again, it'll just be easier to transfer to the fridge. You see, with this pass, you can see all of the interior of that vanilla bean that did not incorporate. It's just too big, so that's why it's good to strain that stuff out. Now, because I made this ahead of time, all my other little dishes are in the fridge with the finished panna cotta because I wanted you to see what it looked like. So I don't have any more vessels to put this in, but here's what I've also done in the past. You just keep it in here and you refrigerate this, and then you can scoop it out and put it in little dishes throughout the week. And then you want to place this in the fridge just like this. Don't cover it for a minimum of 4 hours, but the best texture is really 24 hours. So do this the day before, and then you'll be all ready to go the day you have your party. All right, and then when it's done, it'll look like this. So these are the ones that I made for you guys yesterday so we could see. George, you're looking for snacks, are you, mister? You're looking for snacks. You can put your panna cotta on a small dessert plate. See how this thickened overnight? As it cools, it will thicken. And then I take a nice big heaping of this and just put it on the top. You can get decorative if you want, but I usually just put enough so that it's kind of off to the side a little bit so people can see the panna cotta. And then I think it's really nice to serve these with a little cookie, something buttery and flaky. And here in France, they seem to specialize in buttery and flaky. So these cookies are called a palais, and what they are is they're like a delicious, thick, buttery, flaky cookie. Should we taste it? Let's see. I want you to see the texture. So see, you've got two layers going on here. You've got this delicious tart berry compote on top, and then you will reveal the rich and creamy panna cotta. It's so good. And then followed up with one of these cookies. See, let me show you the texture. See how flaky and buttery it is? Even the camera lady likes them. All right, you guys, I hope you give this one a try and let me know what you think. And if you'd like to know more about my life in France here and how we're all adjusting, you can sign up for my paid community on Substack, talking about just adapting to French culture. My next one that's coming up is all about shopping the French grocery store. That is quite an experience. All right, you can look for that soon. I'll see you then. Bye.